Holy smokes, it's the Lana Del Pod with Joe McMahon and Samuel Priest. A podcast about Lana Del Rey, but not really about Lana Del Rey. It's kind of ironic. It's a long story. Anyway, sit back, relax, and listen. Or I guess jog or whatever. We don't know what you're doing. It's the Lana Del Pod. Here we go. Hello, this is Samuel Priest.
Hello, this is Jerry.
Hi.
From Ball Suckers.
I'm sorry, Jerry. You're calling from where?
From Ball Suckers.
You're calling from Ball Suckers. Now, is that a company that I could pay to get my balls sucked?
Precisely, sir.
Oh boy, I would like to. I need a subscription.
Can I have a minute of your time?
Not only a minute, you can have my balls. They are, boy, have they been unsucked, and I don't. That's a terrible way to start the podcast. But if you're a lonely listener because you've been self-quarantining like a good boy, and you have, we'll say, unsucked balls out there, boy, do I relate.
Sure.
Anyways, this is
a lot of dry balls.
Wait.
A lot of dry balls out there.
Jerry, you sound like my friend Joe McMahon.
It's been me the whole time.
What
How
the
about
hell?
that for a ruse?
What the hell? You sound okay. You don't sound as good as last.
Is this better?
Compared to what?
Is this compared to just now?
Feels exactly the same. I would say.
Okay.
But last.
Well, that's good news because I was lying down.
Yeah.
Just now, and then I sat up, and the fact that it sounds the same means I can go back to lying down. That's
sure.
Good news.
I'm sure you've had a long day. So, yeah, take it easy. Relax.
Yeah. Thank you. It's important.
I'm
glad you get it.
I get it. I did a little bit of activity yesterday, and boy, did I, reward myself with a nap at, 3 p.m. So I understand a low bar.
Yeah.
Nothing like a what,
yep.
Joe? Finish your fucking thought, please.
Well, I was going to say nothing like a afternoon nap to just kind of revel in your personal happiness.
Now, this is an interesting.
I think a lot of happy people tend to sleep most of the day.
Yeah, for sure, and lazy cats. But
and lazy cat.
And who's got a better life than a lazy cat? To be honest, part of that must be infuriating. Oh boy, I personally hope animals are stupid. You know what I mean?
Explain.
Like, how, specifically with fish, how fucking miserable would it be to be a fish that had just any awareness at all that they are a fish? Their lives are so fucking stupid. They're constantly wiggling. Joe. In the water, their whole lives are just about moving around wiggling. And then they sort of...
And if they want to eat, they have to eat smaller versions of themselves. Imagine a world in which all our food was just tinier humans.
It's just insane. It's an insane existence. And then sometimes they wiggle around with a bunch of their fucking friends who what do? They don't do anything social. They do nothing. They have no activities except for sort of eating smaller versions of themselves and then running.
Sex isn't even pleasurable because they're just jizzing on a bunch of floating eggs.
Yeah, they're just jizzing into eggs. Like what? So they better be, and I mean this as delicately as I can, they better be some downsed up fish.
Yeah.
Or else,
if you believe in reincarnation, there is no way Hitler is not a fish.
Oh my God, he better be like the most simple fucking fish with all of the awareness of Hitler in 1943. That's the bottom.
That would be just.
That's the bottom line as far as I'm concerned. And then you get to other animals and you're like, okay, you get to be sort of smart, but boy, I hope none of them are real smart, or else that's just torture to be inside of that body and have a brain that understands that you're an ant or even a dolphin. Our smartest animal still has Jesus Christ, what a terrible existence.
No, I disagree. Dolphins, they bone for pleasure. They develop meaningful relationships. They splash around in the tropical waters all day, which last I checked was why we work really hard as humans so we can have the opportunity to do shit like that. I disagree. I think a dolphin is a excellent life.
Well,
whereas the fish is a terrible life.
Have you seen video or pictures, perchance, of a bunch of dolphins like all slammed on top of each other, getting slaughtered by the Japanese?
I didn't say it was great to be a Japanese dolphin. An American dolphin, fine.
I'm not sure how to phrase
it. A Japanese dolphin, tough break.
Yeah, but the American dolphins are very stupid.
Yes, that's and rapey.
Yeah, those are the ones raping those sea turtles.
Yeah.
Those dolphins went to an American university.
Probably.
Is this good? Is this satirical content we're doing, or is this stupid?
It's something. I think we can, if it's bad, we can introduce the pod to kind of wiggle out of it.
Oh, yeah. Hey, guys, welcome to the...
And if it's good, we can just pick it back up.
Sure. Well, let's introduce the pod, and we'll see if we feel like talking about which dolphins are good.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. This is the Lana Del Pod. My name's Samuel Priest, and I'm
Joe McMahon.
That's Joe McMahon. We're two comedians. Originally, this podcast was about Lana Del Rey, sort of, but it was we're kind of making fun of the idea of people making a whole podcast about like a TV show or a band that they would like listen to. Each episode is listening to like an album or something. You know, you get it. It was smart and satirical. Now we're talking about which dolphins are good dolphins. Yeah, everyone's.
Which I think it's smart. I think it's smart of us to not be smart and satirical. I really don't think we have a stomach for that.
Well, what is the point? What is the point in criticize at some point? Like
the world's fucking burning. Are we going to talk about Automatic for the People in a pithy way? The world's fucking burning.
Now that's an REM album.
Yes.
I never really listened to that guy, Michael Stipe.
You know what? We should listen to some REM.
I need someone to like. I'm not joking around. If I were to listen, I would need someone to introduce me to him, like perhaps in like a weekly format where they're sort of highlighting, the best of their milieu. I don't know if that's the right word, but it sounds like it is.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, we could do that. Want to do that? It's a rich. I mean, I said, we don't have time to break down Automatic for the People, but that would be ridiculous. But something like Out of Time, I think that would be prescient.
Now, is Out of Time, is that a Huey Lewis and the News album?
No, that's a REM album.
Oh, I'm thinking of...
but if you wanted...
Sorry, I was thinking of...
Back in Time?
Yeah, I'm thinking of Back to the Future.
That song?
Isn't Automatic for the People the best REM album or something?
I mean, they're all pretty much good.
Well, I've heard of Automatic for the People. I've never heard of this Out of Time, except when I'm thinking about Huey Lewis and the News or watching Back to the Future.
Out of Time is the one that has Losing My Religion on it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just find REM...
So to answer your question... I
find them pretty boring, to be honest. And, like, especially in this time, to, like, hear this, like, whiny guy mostly talk about his feelings. And I also get him confused with Moby. So I attribute a lot of Moby's gross behavior, like dating a young Natalie Portman. I attribute that to Michael Stipe.
That's not even the gross behavior. The gross behavior is he made up that he dated.
Well, I guess they certainly did something, whether it was just fraternizing or whether it was full-on dating.
I think Natalie Portman went to a Moby concert and was like, hey, I like your music. And he was like, I'm dating Natalie Portman.
Oh. But then he had to look over the fact that she was underage or something to lie about it.
I think... lie about it, yeah, which is weird. It's weird to tell a lie that's going to get you into potentially a lot of trouble.
It seems, listen, there's no winners in that except for maybe Natalie Portman, but then you see some of her film choices and you got to go, I don't know, you might be just a neutral party.
Yeah, you got to say, you know what, I'm taking a step back. Speaking of things that need to be re-examined, we weren't really talking about that, but taking a step back and re-examining something.
Sure.
You brought up Back to the Future. I don't know if that movie works anymore.
Wow, I would disagree completely. What are your charges?
I don't think it's a great time to have a movie in which one of the big jokes is a white man invents Johnny Be Good.
Oh, yeah, that part has always been problematic. That part does not hold up as
a little bit of a problem.
That potentially
and the whole banging and the whole like nearly banging your own mom thing.
Well, he didn't nearly bang his mom. He kind of made out with her slightly, and he almost really made out with her, and then he almost probably got like a blowjob in his car from his mom for sure. And then she also
almost the BJ in the cart.
And she definitely took his pants off in a bedroom, and then was prepared to make out with him without pants. So that was going to lead somewhere. Hand job at the least.
That was going to go somewhere. At what point does she look at her, like, 1985 Marty McFly son and go like, oh my God, this is a dead ringer for a guy whose dick I used to want to suck, and get a little freaked out.
Well, that's what's good about it. And I feel like the movie, that part I think it checks out, because it's like, it's just a vague memory. They don't have photographs of this guy. And for all intents and purposes, really, her son in 1955 was only in her life for like, what, 5 days or something?
That's a good point.
So, like, how many people have we, go back to last week's episode, how many people have we forgotten that at some point were very important and, like, perhaps carved a pumpkin with us? Not to dwell on that pumpkin stuff, but...
Sure, but the pumpkin stuff, yeah. No, you're right. The pumpkin point holds up here. I retract what I said. I do agree with you in that Mrs. McFly would have never realized that she nearly blew her son.
Now, what is that actress's name? Because I always want to call her Caroline in the city.
It's Lea Thompson.
Lea Thompson. Now, I don't have... Yeah. I'm grateful, and I think you are the same, but I don't know for sure. I don't want to speak for you, but I'm... Well, not grateful. I've got, like, weird mom stuff, but it's all negative, right? So it's all, like, issues I'm working over. I don't have that, like... secretly harboring feelings for your mom. So I can just enjoy Lea Thompson being an absolute 1950s smoke show and just sort of almost be mad at Marty for not letting his mom do whatever she wanted to do.
I think it's interesting that thought started with, I'm lucky I don't have weird mom stuff, and ended with, I'm mad at the guy for not fucking his mom.
Well, it's not really his mom. It's Lea Thompson, and Lea Thompson at her, and I don't mean to be gross here and assess women, but at her peak, And I consider her to have many peaks. She certainly did. She did casual sex in either 88 or 89, where that was fantastic. That's a movie, Casual Sex with a question mark. It's got a younger Andrew Dice Clay playing a character that's essentially like a very slightly sensitive Andrew Dice Clay. It's pretty good. And then obviously her Caroline in the City days, also another peak. So I feel like she's had 3 peaks.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, that checks out. I haven't put in the thought about Lea Thompson that you have, but I see nothing there that I can refute.
I'm just saying, Marty McFly really blew it by not letting his mom blow it. You know what? Can we strike that last thing I said from the record? Can we strike that from the record? That was so...
Why?
Because it was so corny.
I would not. I would like to chisel that in stone.
It was so cornball.
I'd like to do the opposite.
It's just too...
I liked it.
Too cornball. We both have, like...
I liked it.
We both have...
Was Howard the Duck, speaking of weird romantic lead, was her and Howard the Duck like a romantic item in that movie? I haven't seen Howard the Duck.
Well, there's a moment. She calls him like her little ducky, and then she like makes her fingers go across the top of his head, and then one of his feathers stands up with like a boing sound, like it's an erection.
Really?
Yeah. And then it seems
Lea Thompson had some weird roles.
Even if there was nothing else going on, if you just look at the career of Lea Thompson, you know that we've got a problem with how we treat women in Hollywood. If nothing else,
yeah,
you just look at like one dynamite performer and like all the roles they had to play just to be in top Hollywood movies. You go like, oh, we hate women. We make them pretty much fuck ducks to be in a movie. Yeah. Like, name one guy that had to like fuck a duck. I'm searching my brain.
I can't name one.
At least not on film.
Yeah, I'm racking. Yeah, I was about to say Gil Bellows, but I know he doesn't have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Just Lea Thompson.
So,
and for what?
For what?
Why?
Yeah, she almost
Gross.
the scene. There's another. I think it's maybe the same scene. It is implied that they're about to get it on. She also plays like a rock star singer in that movie. So her character is literally like the coolest lady, and then she still for some reason falls for it. Like he's not even like a full sized human duck. He's like he's only like 3 feet tall or 4 feet maybe. He's a short, like he's still like a short little weird duck. You know, it's kind of strange.
Right.
I mean, I guess that part's not that strange.
Bizarre.
I guess that is almost incidental to him being a living duck.
If you're gonna have sex with a duck, I don't think you're gonna quibble about how tall the duck is.
I think if he was like 5'6", it's less weird, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they're about to.
I guess I'm trying to put myself in that headspace.
I think they're about to get it on, and they're.
What height would it be?
Yeah, what's your appropriate height for a duck that you would then be okay with the idea of having sex with it? And ducks.
I would have to be super sure that it would go on about ducks.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to interrupt your answer on duck height sex acceptance.
I'm just saying it would have to be a duck that was tall enough to make me think less about its duckishness.
I mean, it's gonna.
I think that checks out. Like if it's a human-sized duck, at least you're like, well, this is some sort of, this is a creature that has a mind. I'm not having sex with an animal. This is totally okay. But if it's like just a slightly bigger duck,
yeah,
you're convincing yourself that it's more human than I think its physiology would let on or imply.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be hard to forget it's a duck. I guess the whole time you're going to be thinking, I can't believe I'm having sex with this duck. Maybe in a good way, though, because maybe that's been like a lifelong dream and you never thought it was possible. And now you found some kind of humanoid duck that is not, it's not like living in a tortured existence because it realizes it's some kind of gross science experiment of a duck.
From that standpoint, it would make a lot of people happy. I mean, not a lot, but a certain segment of the population would be very happy to find like a super smart humanoid version of an animal they like.
Well, have you seen how much is on the internet or if people want to have sex with basically grown adult women that are also like foxes or wolves? They're essentially women.
Like a furry?
Yeah, but it's like furry is one thing because it's like a big... Furries generally don't have like the shapes of human beings. It's like mascots, right? But then there's like a subsection of furry. It's not. I don't even think it's furries because it's mostly animation type stuff. Of it's like clearly a voluptuous lady, like their breasts, but is covered in fur and then has like a fox face. I guess it's like the Disney's Robin Hood that had the fox characters. I guess you know what that goes back like 60 years. Like we've always wanted to fuck foxes.
Yeah, for some reason.
Yeah, why does we want to
foxes, bunnies? There's something gross in us that wants to fuck. Yeah, wolves.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to look for a commonality other than just gross.
It just seems like we're just not happy fucking ourselves.
Yeah.
So weird that we can't just be content. We have to like look into even other species to like, oh, what if I could fuck this thing? It's strange. You know, ducks, Probably we should move on from this, but I will say I weirdly do know that ducks have like maze vaginas. They've got like different like channels, and the reason why, and this is terrible, and I probably shouldn't say it, is because ducks do so much like raping or whatever, and then so male ducks have these like corkscrew penises that they can guide, and then if like a lady duck is getting raped by a duck that like she's like, oh, I'll take this, but I don't want like to get little ducklings from this guy because he's clearly shown some bad judgment here. His genes probably aren't fantastic. They know how to like close off different canals in their vagina. It's very weird.
Yeah, I mean, women can do the same thing. That's why abortion.
Yeah,
you really don't need one. If you don't want to have the kid, it doesn't happen.
You know what's interesting?
As far as I know.
What's interesting?
That's what I've been told.
What's really interesting about what you just did is that when I was saying my thing, I thought, "Oh, this is this is horrible that I'm even saying this," and I don't even know what Joe's going to do to respond to make this better. And then you made it worse. So that's.
I made it worse. I made it worse, but it wasn't my fault. That's like a Republican guy said that a couple of years back. Like, oh, you don't need abortions. If a woman doesn't want to get pregnant, she could just be like, no.
Oh yeah,
And
that
like,
is true.
I don't know, evaporate it.
Yeah, I feel like there's been
that guy. Remember that guy?
Yeah,
He's
who was
probably
that
doing
guy?
something pretty important right now. I don't know, but I bet he got promoted.
Yeah, I bet he still has a job.
He for sure has a job.
Legitimately, I bet he still has a job. I don't want to get. Let's not talk politics too
He
much.
probably has a better job.
There's
probably a better job.
He probably has a better job, and he's in charge of more women's health care. Actually, on this day.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hachi machi. It's all over. I didn't think we'd see it. I didn't think we'd see the ship go down.
It is strange that we're living in. I thought it was going to get better.
Yeah, I did too. I thought once we elected Barack Obama, it was like, oh,
Joe,
right.
I think you cut
That's
out a
pretty
little.
cool. Like we're over some stuff.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Remember that guy? Oh boy, simpler time.
It does seem
simpler time when phones were just phones.
It seems like his presidency was, and I'm not joking here, like 24 years ago. It seems, It seems like a lifetime ago. And it's not that like no one expected him to solve anything. Like that's a huge responsibility. But it seemed like, oh, if America can like accept this human being, we are moving in the right direction. You know?
Yeah.
So, but
turns out
there was a backlash. Turns out there's a backlash to electing a decent man.
Yeah.
Half the country was like, "What? In my house?"
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. Turns out it's like I don't know. I don't know what comes after.
Well, who knows? It is strange though, because potentially this is our last year as like a United States, and things can clearly get worse with the coronavirus and the culture war regarding the coronavirus and like legit racism on video. Very strange is an understatement of the year. But have you noticed that, Joe? Joe, you still there? You've been silent for a second.
Oh, I've just been contemplating the doomed existence.
Oh yeah, for sure. Have you noticed though a small undercurrent of our comedian friends and jaded people online? They are like a little pushback into people talking about the coronavirus and quarantine and Republicans in general is to be like, yeah, it sure is weird. Like we're saying that too much, you know? Like people are
yeah.
I've been noticing that people are like, oh my God, stop saying it so much. And it's like, people are still dying every fucking day.
Yeah. This is like more so.
Yeah, we're going up. Listen, I don't know if this is a good entertainment for a podcast that's supposed to be a slight escape. So
it's not escapism. Yeah. I don't know. There's no hope. I can't proffer any hope. I can't make people escape. There's nothing to escape to. There's nowhere to go. This is our reality. We live in a war-torn, pandemic-stricken country.
I mean, minimum
being run by someone who possibly a distinct possibility that we may be living in a dictatorship.
Oh yeah. Minimum we've got 3 more months of this. It seems like best case scenario, 3 more months of it being like horrifically bad. It seems like best case scenario we've got till January. Best case scenario we've got at least 6 more months of dealing with a pandemic that isn't properly being controlled and dealing with a government that is actively fanning the flames of racism and division.
That's sowing the seeds to not accept the results of a legitimate election.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying best case scenario. This starts to get better at January 21st or whatever it is, right around my birthday, which will be cool.
Yeah.
But that's best case scenario.
Oh boy, that just means we're doomed.
Why? Because it's
when's the last time you've had a good birthday? Nothing's getting better.
Man, I think it's been years since I had a good birthday. There was a long time. I don't want to get gross.
Yeah.
It's really weird how we're jumping from like being, I think, pretty serious about the world and then talking about duck vaginas. But there was a long string of years there where I got a birthday blowjob every year. That was like a tradition. I don't want to say I expected it because that's gross, but it was like, at the very least, I had a decent birthday because that was happening. And then the last few years, not only has that not happened, but terrible negative things have happened, Joe, if you can believe it.
Yeah, I can believe it. And, I'm not much for superstition, but the fact that potential inauguration and the end of the pandemic should be falling around your birthday makes me think that both those things are not going to happen.
And even worse, I probably won't get a blowjob.
Probably won't get a BJ.
January 23rd is the specific date I'm talking about if anyone wants to save the country. Yeah. Was that gross?
Yeah, man.
I don't know when I'm being gross anymore.
No, I'm just thinking like, well, we don't know how the universe works.
It does seem like there's
maybe that's what maybe that's what needs to happen to realign shit.
It does seem like the possibilities are infinite, and it's certainly not going to hurt things, I feel like, if someone starts to care about me anymore.
I tell you what, you're a braver man than me, because I would not want to learn, like, a situation like that. If a blowjob is not offered, knowing the stakes, boy, do you know exactly how repulsive you are.
Well,
I don't think I'd want to learn that.
Well, here's the thing. Clearly, I don't know exactly how repulsive I am. There's a level of self-awareness.
But if the stakes are saving the union, potentially society as we know it,
yeah,
boy, that's a lot of pressure.
Well, that's
a lot of pressure on your piece.
Well, I think it'll handle it just fine if it comes to that. But it feels like there's a chance these things aren't related.
There's a chance.
I'm trying to.
Who knows? I wish. Boy, I wish I lived in a world where it could just be blown away.
That would be nice if it was just sort of one weird karmic, cosmic act. But I'm trying to bail out of this bit for a little while.
All our problems could just, go away by someone giving you oral sex.
Yeah, like I said, and
oh sure,
I regret getting
What's
into
new?
it. I regret laying it out there, to be honest. Which is 30% of my comedy lately. I regret saying the thing I just said.
Sure.
What's new with me is I got a job offer, Joe. Unfortunately, the government teat I was suckling on for just a short while, not even very long. I think I have to accept this really shitty job so that I have money, but it's literally less money than the unemployment. So, but then I guess legally,
I think that's the case from.
Yes, Joe.
Legally, you can't turn it down.
Yeah, I guess.
No, I was just going to say, I think for most people in our I don't know what you want to call it, but our level of non-skill, I feel like unemployment was a raise.
It was, and that makes me rethink. I don't know about you, but for me, it's making me rethink my whole life, and it's making me think, boy, did I make a lot of bad choices, not even mistakes, like active choices to elevate and prioritize living a weird, stupid artist lifestyle where most of the things I didn't pay me well or at all sometimes. A lot of free shows where I'm offering my quote-unquote art and then feeling good about myself if people laughed at some dumb bullshit and then coming home with like no money in the bank. Like, what a stupid what a stupid existence.
So fucking dumb. I did the same thing and I feel like a fucking idiot.
What a waste of time.
I did the same thing and such a waste of time. I could have like savings.
Yeah.
If I didn't think that there was like a path through that.
And not even like
an idiot.
And then also, not to be an asshole here, but we also were clearly good at that and then still not valued and still not properly rewarded or paid, just based on the future idea that we would be compensated somehow for like years of toiling.
The most valuable commodity that I earned through 7 years of work and some underlying talent is a fucking dude's email.
Well,
that's the most valuable asset that I was able. It's Meghan Markle's ex-husband. So listen, that's not nothing, but it's close to nothing.
Okay, but what does his email have to do with anything? You're saying it's cool?
I'm just saying that's the only tangible thing that I have to show for it.
Okay, I was on your side.
I have the email of a...
Oh, he's like an important guy?
He's a somewhat important person.
Oh, well, that's... Yeah.
But more than that, more than important, it's a weird thing to have, the Princess of England's ex-husband's email. It's a weird thing to have, but there's no value.
Yeah.
There's no real value. But that's like the only cool thing I have to show for.
Well, I would argue that not only is that not cool, but it's also not impressive.
Actually, yeah. You know what? I'm going to agree with your argument there. I have literally nothing to show.
I could listen to you off air, of course, not right now. I could listen to you explain why that's valuable, but at the end of the day, I mean, I understand.
I thought you'd be. I mean, it's a princess's ex-husband's email.
You keep saying that, and I guess I just
thought the value.
I guess I just don't. I don't get it.
I thought the value would speak for itself, but it didn't, and so now I'm. Listen, I'm not going to wrestle you on this. I've got nothing to show for it.
Well, I'm a big fan of Suits. You know that, USA's Suits. But I never, the inherent value I placed in that show, which was very, very high, I didn't associate that with Meghan Markle's ex-husband.
Nor should you.
Okay. The point is that we're both losers.
Yeah. Listen, there's no argument. Yeah, we both made a horrible decision.
Horrible lifestyle choice. Even if let's say
unalterable.
Yeah, and now so much time has been wasted.
We're not getting that. Oh yeah, we're not getting that back.
I'm 35. I got a podcast. Not even sincerely about Lana Del Rey. Like what did we do this for?
I'm 33, and I thought having a guy's email was.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that like made me excited that in hindsight turned out just to be an email of a guy that used to be married to a person I really have no legitimate feelings about.
Yeah, it's a real specific. It's a real specific thing.
You know, every time
I don't think it's listen, the point is there's nothing good about what we decided to do.
No, that's a terrible thing. Also, my instincts were really bad because when you told me that story, I have actually had countless, and I mean countless, and that's not a weird brag, but I've had countless people either after a show or meeting me randomly, and then I would say that they're a comedian, or I would tell them I'm a comedian. They would like offer their business card or like a, hey, I've got this thing I'd like you to do or something like that. And I followed up on those things 0 times because every time when someone did that, I was like, oh, what a fucking weirdo. What an insane person that wants to collab with me on something. Like, who are you? You're just you're like a rich lady in Old Town. Like, I don't know you. Like, what could we collab about? Instead of me going like, oh, they could help do something.
I had people who could legitimately help me, and I knew who they were, but I was like, not enough help. That's how fucking dumb I was.
Yeah, it's strange.
I was like, that's kind
Joe, you cut out.
of good, but like, how about you give me some money on the chance that maybe I do something?
What was the first part of your point? You cut out.
No, it wasn't important. It was just me talking about how. First part of my point is I've had similar experiences where people offer an opportunity or help, but my thing was not ignoring it. Mine was just expecting more. That was my sin.
Entitled,
and being disappointed when it wasn't more.
Yeah, why aren't you doing all the work for me?
Yeah. It's like, why can't you just give me money now and then I'll make something for you later?
Truly. I mean, that's what a book advance is, and everyone knows authors are the most respected artists. So.
Oh, sure, but typically that's what happens to like authors people know and love and buy their shit.
Well, I was being a little sarcastic,
not just somebody who says, I don't know, I think a captain. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm too mad at myself to detect that.
Well, also, we're doing this by phone, so you can't see me winking to the camera, which is what I did.
Sure. Yeah, there's no winking. And again, I am right in the middle of a vortex of rage aimed squarely at myself for my hubris and stupidity.
Well, I thought you were going to be a coder. I don't want to move off. I don't want to move off past our extremely self-indulgent conversation about how we've ruined our lives. And even though the world has obviously changed and everything's meaningless, but specifically how we've not even put ourselves in a place to be, I don't know, almost competent adults almost. Boy, I forgot
and we missed out on the window of, I mean, that's a great point. Everything is meaningless now, and who cares? And but before, when it wasn't, we frittered away our time. By not doing anything of merit.
I had a couple opportunities to bail out of this lifestyle. I dated a doctor for a while who wanted me to move in with her, and I was like, oh, my comedy journey is too important.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah.
I mean,
the coder thing, to get back on that.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
That's truly what I care about now.
Coding.
It's something like that. I mean, do I want to do that? Sure. That takes money, and of course, a lot of like the boot camps that are offered are on hold now because fucking everything is on hold.
I thought you could do all that shit remotely.
More or less ruined.
Can you do that stuff?
Not all of it.
Oh.
Not the ones that are really worthwhile.
So this is like a actual camp, like you guys go somewhere in tents and stuff.
Yeah, you wear short pants and you drink Kool-Aid and there's a mess hall. At least that's how I understood it.
You got a little canteen.
But no, that now it's just survival by any means. I mean, I'm lucky to have my shitty telemarketing, and now my goal is to just be one of the best shitty telemarketers.
Well, I don't know.
There's a nobility. There's a nobility
to being a telemarketer. I
think there's a nobility in giving up.
Well,
yes. There's a nobility in being competent no matter what the job is.
I would disagree on that statement, and I can come up with several examples that would undercut your point.
Listen. That's still the naive, dumb dick dreamer that we both hate in us talking.
I mean,
there's a nobility in doing a shitty job well.
Well, do you remember, I mean, I won't spell out the exact example of the job that's perhaps in the news right now that I think undercuts that. But do you remember when we were trying to figure out our lives and still do comedy, and we were going to be, remember when we really sincerely thought about, just because the training process
thought about the police academy.
We thought about being cops. Bad cops, of course, but not bad like you would.
We did.
Not like bad, like police academy
like funny bad cops.
Yeah, like goofballs.
We bust some kids for smoking pot, and then we take the pot and we smoke it. And
and then also we don't really bust those kids. We just give them a warning.
We don't bust them at all. We just give them a warning, but take their weed.
And we certainly don't single out.
I don't know, we help people.
Yeah, and we certainly don't single out one of those kids. You know what I mean? For a specific reason.
I'll go a step further and say we do single out one of those kids, the white kid. We just bust white kids.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if that's the solution, but I'll if you're my partner, I guess I've got no choice but to either go along or look the other way while you do something detrimental. So that checks out.
Sure. But it's not going to be like bad detrimental. Yeah, it's going to be like, oh, maybe I gave a kid a little extra business because I know that he's a little privileged dick, But yeah, I mean, we can't do that.
Yeah, we can't do it. I don't think we could have done that before.
Nah.
No,
we probably weren't what they were looking. Actually, you know what? As it turns out, fucking anybody can become a cop. I think we.
Well, that's why we almost did it, because we looked into the Chicago training, and it was fucking licensing. 6 months. So we were just sitting around our apartment being like, "Hey, if we wanted to,
no licensing.
In a year from now, we could be like fucking stupid asshole cops because the training is so lax."
Yeah, just fucking drive around.
Yeah, drive around, fuck shit up.
Oh man, we could have got our medical weed cards. We could have just got our medical weed cards and fucking been high. We could have been the dudes who like march with the people that fucking get talked about on the internet as, oh, look at these cops. They're not all bad. These guys are cool. More like these guys. That could have been us, Sam.
Yeah, we could have been
kneeling with people and fucking march.
We could have been part of the let's say like 2%.
With them we could have been lauded as part of the solution.
Yeah. Well,
actually, it would have been me, you, and the other guys that have been profiled on the internet, and that's it.
Do you think?
I mean, kind of. I think all cops are pretty much scumbags.
Yeah, it's a weird job unless you're taking
except
it.
for the ones that have been.
I would say unless you're taking it to literally just goof off, and you have no intention of really enforcing any of these rules, except for like one or two that just happen to come across your path that are legit, like violent offenses or something like that, and to take other things a little
violent offenses,
boy, oh boy.
robberies.
Why do I do this every time? Like clearly, I don't know why I have to address little serious things when we're clearly just goofing off. But I guess we're talking about a huge fucking issue. Your coding thing, your coding
job. It's a big one.
Haven't you made a lot of progress in this coding? Are you to the point where you can make video games?
Oh no, I haven't even done it.
I thought
I've done nothing. I've
what?
It was the idea to enroll in a coding boot camp.
I thought you'd already started.
But to do that, I haven't. Oh no, not in the least. I'm telemarketing. I've been graciously hired back by the company that had laid me off.
Yeah.
And subsequently fired me 3 other times before that.
To be fair to them, real
I'm
quick,
back,
Joe.
And I'm just thankful.
Just thankful. I would say, to be fair to them, you did have a habit of not coming to work sometime.
Totally justifiable firings.
You would do this thing.
In fact, they weren't really firings. It was just me just ghosting.
Yeah, you would not come to work, and I hope this isn't terrible to air your laundry like this, but you would not come to work for, I'd say, a day, sometimes 2 days, and then I don't want to use the word embarrassed, but then you would say like, well, I can't explain this, so then you would just not go for more days. Is that fair to say on the podcast? I'll cut it out if you don't want it in there.
That is 100% accurate.
Yeah, so then it was a thing where, like, you would also avoid their calls when they called you because you were like, well, I'm only going to upset them further.
I don't know what to say. Yeah. I think the right thing to do here is to just disappear.
Yeah, just to live your life like a mysterious drifter.
Mistakes were made. Yeah. Yeah, I think if I were to really hone in on the problem, it's that I spent my 20s living my life like a mysterious drifter.
But the problem is you didn't go to different towns. Like every time you do that, then you're supposed to go to a new town and like befriend a waitress and her son.
I didn't even go to I was too lazy to do the cool part of it.
You go to a diner, you pay for your coffee and all like change.
You inquire about if they need any help in the kitchen. You do that.
I think our timing is off. There's a slight delay in the...
Start slinging some weed, then you ask about other stuff, and then you start selling coke, and then you... But, to digress, mistakes were made. That's it. Now I'm just trying to hang on for dear life.
Dear life, eh?
Despite all that, and I can't speak for you, but despite all that, I'm happy with where I'm at. I wasted a ton of time, and I did things completely wrong for years. And now I just want to do whatever I can to stay married and keep my pets safe and pay bills.
Well, yeah, you can't speak for me.
Yeah, I'm living afraid, but it's not the worst way to live.
No.
To be in complete fear of ruin.
Yeah.
There's a weird liberty in that.
Well, you... I think have a life worth keeping, whereas I think if you were to assess my life right now, first of all, it'd be hard to identify even what it is. But secondly, you wouldn't say like, oh, let's keep this part, keep doing this. You would just be like, oh yeah, I guess it's a clean slate because there's nothing here, and start building some things for the future. And that's what, and you say that to a 35-year-old man.
Yeah, you'd be a complete teardown.
Yeah, there's nothing, because you've got a wife and some animal kids. You guys, you're building a little foundation. You have plans for the future, and even if you don't have those plans, you guys are, you're going to be with each other. You're going to build on that. So yeah, my ex-girlfriend, she just sort of moved across the country with her boyfriend. So that was like the most stable thing I had in my life when she was just living in my city as my ex-girlfriend. So we text every couple of days. And,
well,
and now it's gone, Joe.
Yeah, that's got to be a net positive eventually.
Eventually.
Oh, sure, it's gone, and you're thinking, boy, is this the abyss? And you're not wrong to think that, but I think there's something to be said for a blank slate. You've got nothing, so you have nothing to lose.
Yeah. Speaking of the
I think you should try to kill the president of the United States.
I don't think we should put that out here on the podcast, but it is kind of crazy that no one has tried, like like no one's.
I mean, and well, yeah, and as you describe your life, it's like, I don't know. Like you could be a hero still.
That's true. Listen, I'd love to explore this conversation in private.
I'm not going to try to talk to you.
Just for anyone listening, I abhor violence, and I don't think
exactly.
I don't think that's the answer. But it is crazy no one's rolled the goddamn dice at this point and became, an American hero forever.
Yeah.
If there was anyone if there was anyone that would be redeemed.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yeah, if you may recall, Hitler wasn't voted out.
he certainly wasn't. So that's something. But obviously we don't encourage violence on this podcast. If any jerk offs from the FBI or CIA are listening to a podcast ironically about Lana Del Rey or whatever the fuck they're doing. We do have some kind of weird downloads from some different countries.
Oh, yeah? Oh, well, Guten Tag, our international listeners.
Yeah, if anyone wants to be, an honorary American patriot, I'll say some words that our president said. China, if you're listening, and that's fine to say because it doesn't imply anything, I guess. Or Russia, if you're listening, whatever.
And boy, there's going to be plenty of real estate for new statues.
Yeah, it's so.
If you want to do the heroic thing, there's plenty of pedestals we can commemorate your form forever on.
I mean, if there's any
lot of vacancy.
Obviously, this is like a world of shit that we're going through. Excuse me. Obviously, this is like a world of shit that we're going through. But oh man, sorry. but small glimmers of little like hope and positive is that like we are having less stupid arguments because like I would say even 2 years ago. We really argued about the merits of keeping around fucking statues. And, like, who gives a shit about a statue? When's the last time you really looked at a statue?
Yeah. Well, I think, at least people are no longer able to hide behind bullshit reasons.
Yeah.
I think everything's been laid bare. And, there's something to be said. Like, listen, I mean, what our country's doing right now is not unlike what we just did here on this podcast. You have to take an honest appraisal of yourself and your past actions, and you have to say that was fucking stupid.
But I don't think we're taking an honest appraisal of our past actions. I just think at the very least we're having less stupid conversations because people are still refusing to have really honest conversations. So like the statue thing was always stupid because who fucking who cares about a statue? On my birthday this year, which was sad, I had a traffic. This is true. I had a traffic ticket I had to fight in court at like 8:30 in the morning, and then just because that happened to be near the art museum and Grant Park, I walked over. I got really high right after I won my case, by the way, and then I walked over to the art museum and Grant Park, and I just walked around, spaced out of my mind, listening to music, and I looked at these statues, but I couldn't tell you one. I could not tell you one guy who these guys were. I couldn't tell you one, and I looked at these statues for a long time, Joe. I was really high.
Yeah.
And then like people are angrily arguing about like, we got to keep these statues. Like make a different statue. If you love statues, you make your own.
Yeah, just make a different fucking statue.
Different statue. This and also you don't know this. You don't know this fucking guy. You don't know what he did. He certainly,
I think it's ridiculous when people are like freaked out by the slippery slope argument of like, what are we going to do? Tear down the Washington Monument or tear down the Jefferson? Sure. I don't give a shit.
Well, also,
have you seen the Washington Monument? It's fucking stupid. It's just a stack. It's just a big fucking Jenga tower of fucking marble bricks. Who gives a fuck?
It's just a narrow, like a sharp column, right?
It's just a sharp column.
Are we talking about the same thing? Well, I don't know about fuck that thing, but also like, who cares about that thing?
The one in D.C. Well, who cares? Who gives a shit about that thing? The dude, if we're going to take down the monuments of everyone who owned slaves, then, like, that seems like a reasonable thing to lose your monument over.
It seems like a very small litmus test. It seems like the smallest of litmus tests.
Yeah.
And, like, people are like, well, we're not going to respect history.
Like, there's
it's like,
plenty of...
Sorry, you go, Joe.
I was just going to... I'm with you. It's fucking who cares? It's, if you... Like, we're going to laud these guys? Well, what the fuck did these guys really do? They got mad. They got mad that they had to pay more taxes for shit. And they were, like, wanting, the whole thing of, like, well, they fought for representation. It took, like, 3 fucking years to cross the ocean. Like, I don't blame England for being like, sorry, we can't fucking wait for you guys to have this meeting. You know what I mean? Fucking assholes. I'm out on the Founding Fathers, Sim.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They all fucking suck. Except for Ben Franklin, maybe. I think Ben Franklin might have been cool, but most of them were fucking assholes.
Yeah, didn't we say that last time that we were like, well, you called him a big fat fuck, but then we were like, yeah, he's probably cool. He made an almanac and stuff, and he might have been cool. Like, listen, like 3 of those guys.
Yeah, made an almanac, made a cool oven.
If you assess it with the times, if you give them even the benefit of the doubt with, like, existing within the times and then, judging them on some kind of a moral level, even with the times, only like 3 of those guys were cool. And they were, not that cool.
Yeah.
Also, the whole...
Yeah. And, like, even, like, the times were, like, most countries had been done with slavery for, like, decades.
That's not a lot of time.
It's like...
It's still a while.
I mean, like, a few decades? I mean, that's a plenty of time. That's a lot of time.
No, I'm saying that's...
it's like America...
Joe, I'm just saying we shouldn't laud those other countries for recognizing a clearly obvious thing of being wrong.
Oh, yeah. I'm not lauding those countries. I'm just saying that the country that
sounds like you're doing
it
some
decades
lauding.
after is the worst.
Oh, yeah. Compared to the other countries.
No, I'm just saying that we're the worst of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that they deserve any fucking credit, but we're certainly worse than those people that don't deserve any fucking credit.
And how shitty is that we're worse than England? That sucks.
I know. That does suck, but that's the reality. Like, England got rid of slavery, and I think it was like 1720-something is when they got rid of slavery. And we kept doing it when we founded our country. And that's just like, and then we did it for like 100 years after that.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Well, the thing with the English is they did all that shitty colonialism with India. But here's the thing. I don't know fucking anything about that because history is boring as shit. So all these people that are like, oh, we're going to lose history. It's like, well, first of all, you got a whole channel for it. So just watch that channel. If it's your most dearest thing, watch that channel, email them and say, hey, less aliens. More history. And then also, we got 1 million fucking books, and people don't read those because they're boring as shit. And I also don't believe they're walking around looking at statues. So the whole argument is just the dumbest fucking thing in the world. And
no one's doing that.
I think
the whole argument's fucking stupid. I've never learned anything from a fucking statue.
I've never learned one. Like I said earlier, I barely even remember who the statue is of when I even look at it. And most of the time, I walk right by because I'm going to something cool, like an unpaid comedy gig.
Exactly. Yeah. I think. I think we got it right, Sam.
Yeah, we solved it.
Despite wasting all our time.
Besides,
I mean, we didn't solve it, but we're not going to be on the wrong side of it.
As we die penniless,
I think
we will have our integrity to keep us warm as we wasted our lives. But at least we identified the horrors around us in hindsight, really, because we could have had this statue conversation 5 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah. As I'm unable to help my wife with a down payment for a house, I will be able to go to the signing with her with my integrity intact.
Listen, I've won a lot of internet arguments, and by won I mean I was correct, even if the comments seem to suggest otherwise. And I think that's almost better in a way than being, self-sufficient and established as a functioning adult that has a family and even some semblance of a bright future.
Amen to that.
Amen, indeed.
Amen to that. I fully endorse that.
Thank you for endorsing.
Well, I think we nailed it, Sam. I think I think we were both worried how what this podcast would be when the world is so fraught, and I think we navigated it perfectly.
You know, do you think maybe we're a little too heavy-handed? I might call this episode heavy-handed.
I think you should call it heavy-handed. That way we can't be accused of not realizing that it's heavy-handed.
Yeah, but even if we identify it, is that justify it, you know?
Yes.
I think you just don't want to record another podcast.
No. That's not my intention at all. I'm just that secure in my righteousness. Most people who are secure in their righteousness are proven to be hypocrites, but I'm pretty sure I'm not one of those people, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's probably fine. I mean, we'll all of us are going to look fucking stupid in 20 years, you know?
Something like that.
We'll be exposed for all of our weird bias, even the best of us.
Yeah, I think the far future things are going to be like, people are going to look at us like, why the fuck were you eating meat?
Oh, the meat thing is going to be
unsustainable for the planet. You fucking asshole.
I mean, the
meat thing's going to be huge once we get all this shit fucking settled.
Once we get this shit settled, I mean, not to mention, you know, boy, we're hitting a lot of heavy topics, but
just in general, how we treated the planet.
Treating the planet. I mean, we've been, let's say, downright horrific to, you know, fish and cows, which is why I hope they're fucking.
And the pig is smart.
Oh, I hope the pig is actually not smart and is fucking
smart
stupid.
And loyal pig.
I hope the
pig is smart. We all know the pig's smart.
We know
we all
smart.
Fucking eat it.
We know it's smart, but like, is it smart on a pig level or like a human level? I hope it's a pig level, and I hope that level is real stupid.
It's like as smart as like a 3-year-old human.
Well, I feel like I could go both ways on that.
It's fucking delicious.
That's true. You think
I'm not going to lie and pretend that it's not delicious.
How smart do you think a 3-year-old is, though? Because a lot of that is communication. So I don't know if I'm.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I'm undervaluing its.
I mean, it would a 3-year-old. I don't know if I were to like take a 3-year-old and butcher it.
Sure.
Right before I butcher it, that 3-year-old's going to be like, "Well, this is fucking awful."
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, you don't have to be a 3-year-old to not want to get butchered. Like even like a fish.
No, but I think you know what's happening. Like if you were butchering like a baby, like the baby doesn't like have any sense of like danger. Everything's dangerous to a baby. You know what I mean?
As soon as
like
like
a 3-year-old, I think would understand.
Huh.
Go ahead.
Oh, I mean, I don't quite understand. I feel like they react very similarly, as would a fish. You take a fish out of the water, it starts flopping around, and as soon as you make one cut on a fish, unless you really get the head off, you're really torturing a fish. So I feel like any animal understands when it's being tortured that it's bad.
Well, fuck yeah.
That's why you love.
I just wish I didn't have to eat.
You love
that.
True.
I love food.
You love that one woman who made it easier to slaughter cows.
Temple Grandin.
Yeah, you love her, right?
She's an autistic lady who understood how awful we were treating cows and thought, maybe we can make this a little bit easier on the cow.
I have a wonderful little chunk of an old lost episode of the podcast that we recorded with our dear departed friend Schwan, and it's not a good podcast. That's why it was never released, and it was lost to time, and we didn't even really finish it. But there's a lovely little chunk where you're explaining the movie Temple Grandin to Schwan. And it's so fucking stupid and funny. And then obviously we can't listen to it nowadays because of how the tragic air around it, talking about these dearly slaughtered cows. And then obviously our friend Schwan not being here.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah,
sounds fun though.
Shouldn't have brought it up.
I'm picturing myself doing that to Schwan.
Yeah,
and I'm laughing.
If we could listen to it in a bubble, and then Schwan was still here, a wonderful little piece of entertainment. But knowing what we know, no one should ever hear it.
Oh, that's so ominous.
Yeah, sorry to end
spooky.
Yeah, sorry. Let's say some light things before we end, or else that'll bum me out to end on that.
Light stuff. I don't know. I got a NutriBullet,
Yeah,
so
you
I'm
said
back
that.
to juicing.
Has that been
is,
happening more than a day or two?
Yeah, I've had a juice every day since last Friday.
Oh wow!
And or 2 weeks now.
Yeah,
2 weeks into juicing.
Last pod was
and my bowel movements have responded in kind to the reintroduction of fiber and nutrients, and I'm very, very happy with that.
Well, I'm not so happy to hear about your bowel
very
movements.
Happy with the quality of my bowel movement.
Well, I mean, I guess that's good. You do.
Well, I can understand that. I mean, it's.
You share an apartment with your lady friend. I share an apartment with 3 roommates, and that's probably the
better bowel movements.
That's probably the worst part of my day is when I have to do that, and because no one ever leaves the house because we're all quarantined. Besides like a little walk or small park, but there's 3 of us, or there's 4 of us total. So that's probably the worst.
Right.
The worst part of my day, absolutely, is if I have to do that, and then I'm. So, God, I regret, I would say 70% of the things I brought up and talked about on this episode, Joe. But I'll just finish the stupid thought that, like, what am I doing? Like, I don't even...
shitting and you miss blowjobs.
But the idea that I would say this on a recorded, and then not only that, I'm the one that publishes it and puts it out there. So I'm like, yep, here we go. Like, I'm not even like, oh, wish I didn't say that on a podcast. It's like, this is my own stupid podcast. What an idiot.
Yeah.
But just to finish the point,
the level of self-flagellation involved.
There's a lot. And then I don't know if you're hearing all the self-doubt in the middle of the sentence. Before I even finish the sentence, I'm questioning myself. And then I'm still going to put this online? What a dumb thing we're doing. Oh, and we didn't talk, boy, Joe, and we don't have time to... Let me finish the point and then bring up a topic we didn't even talk. The point is like, boy, do I not want that terrible, shameful act to be noisy. And so the things that I have to do to prevent just the hypothetical idea of it being embarrassingly noisy are just, it's literally the worst part of my day every day for the last, 95 days.
Jesus.
So
terrible.
I'm glad your juicer is working. It's working out.
Yeah.
But something.
Yeah, it really is.
A fun little topic. Oops, sorry. You go.
Oh, I was just going to say that all sounds awful. As a married person, we have a level of intimacy where you can pretty much shit with the door open.
Oh wow, which is
freeing.
Yeah, that's what that's the goal for me, is to share an apartment with someone to shit with the door open.